Good afternoon. Hi, Nick.
Hey, John.
How are you? Was wondering, we talked yesterday about you guys have won a bunch of different ways and it's a different guy each week and all that. Was wondering about Dallas and why do you think his production hasn't been there? Is it something the defenses are doing, or are you becoming concerned with that?
I still think it's a small sample size, and there's always a combination of different things. Something may break down in a play when Dallas is supposed to get the ball. I mean, there are just so many different variations of what can happen. Trust me, I promise you, he's still part of the plan of wanting us to get him the football. We need to get him the football. It's just sometimes there's a dry spell in there too, of what's kind of going on right now. And so again, there's some different things that defenses are concerned of with Dallas that has affected some of his touches that he's gotten. And I'm not going to get into that. I don't think that I need to get into that. But so it's definitely a little bit of both, right? He is a great player. They do rely on him. But I will say this about Dallas is that even though he's not contributing the way we all envision him to contribute right at this particular time in the pass game, he's been a force in the run game, a force. And so Dallas still changes the game because of what he does in the run game, and he still changes the game of being somebody in the pass game that they're concerned of, where it opens up the field for other people. So he'll get going. I'm certain of that. But we got to do our job as coaches to get him going. But he is still a very big factor in the way our offense is playing right now because of who he is as a blocker and also who he is as a receiver and drawing that attention.
We'll go to Ruben, then Zach.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Hey, Rube.
I wanted to ask you about right guard. We saw Cam was in a boot post game. I know you don't do timetables, but do you anticipate not having him for a period of time here? And I guess the second part of that question is, obviously Tyler Steen worked at right guard in camp. You have Sua. How did Sua play, and how would you decide whether to go with Tyler or Sua moving forward if you need another?
Yeah, good question, Rube. I would say Cam's going to be week to week. We'll see. I'll get you more information as we know more. Obviously, Bob gives you the information. I don't usually talk too much on here with it, but we'll get you more information as we know more. It's still early in the week, so we'll see there. I think you see where we lie. I don't think there's any secret. I think you see where we lie right now between Sua and Tyler. Sua has been up. Tyler has been inactive now, and so Sua would be that next man up. And I thought he played outstanding yesterday. Outstanding. I think we all felt that in the game, and then you watch it on tape and you verify that and confirm that. And even Lane came up to me in the locker room after the game, and Layden played outstanding also. And Lane came up to me after the game and just was singing the praises of Sua. And so we recognized it as coaches when we got to watch it, and I know his teammates recognized it in game. So excellent job by him to come in and play a great game. That's a hard, it's a very necessary thing to be able to do because the injuries are part of this game, and to be able to step in and not miss a beat. But I think these guys don't get enough credit for when they do that, and so he was outstanding, and that's not easy to do against a very good front. That's a very good front we played yesterday, and Sua was outstanding in his. I think he had 40 plus snaps, and I thought he was outstanding in that. So great job by him.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Jeff.
Hey Nick, sorry about that. If I can follow up on a game situation and then also sneak in a lighthearted question. The first one, 9:41 to go in the fourth quarter. Washington had the illegal formation. on a third down, you accepted the penalty to push them back. What factored into that decision? And then just a quick lighthearted question, why don't you watch field goals?
Okay, so good question on the third down, the stop on third down. So, what happened was on that is that it's 3rd and 1. We stuff them, right, on a quarterback sneak. And the information I got from the officials is that it would be a 4th and half a yard, or it'd be a 3rd and 6. Listen, I know what we're doing in 3rd or 4th and half a yard, and I know that we're really good at that play. But the percentages of guys converting on a 4th and 1 is high, right? Over 70%. And so that's definitely in my mindset. It's tough. Do we expect to be good at short yardage offense? Yes. Do we expect to be good at short yardage defense? Yes. But I'm also playing a little bit of the odds there as far as, hey, now, and so again, like I told you, like I'm always going to ask that question. All right, what's the down and distance here? So it's going to be 4th down, right? How many yards to go? And they said half a yard. And I said, okay, I'll take them back then. And so, hey, they converted on the 3rd down. And so I understand that that's my job, that I'm going to have to face some criticism there, that I didn't take it into 4th down. I understand that. And I did that same thing in New England, right? We had a stop on 3rd down. It was 4th down, and I had an opportunity to either take them back and knock them out of field goal range, or take the penalty and know that they were, and risk the 3rd down conversion, or take the penalty, or decline it, and they would have been in field goal range. And, that one, we took them back. We had a great stop. And so, again, sometimes that's going to work and sometimes it's not. So I have to, and in those situations, I have to just be convicted in what I'm doing. And my conviction there was, hey, let's see if we can stop them on 3rd and 6, and then see what happens on 4th down. I just thought that they were going to go for it on 4th and half a yard there. Why don't I watch on field goals? I'm not like a superstitious guy. I'm actually anti-superstitious, because at one point in my life I was so superstitious it was consuming so much of my time, right? And I'm like, shoot, I don't even remember what I did last time there. So I'm almost opposite that, so it has nothing to do with superstition. I don't know. It's just that's a play that it takes a little bit of time to set up with the field goal. My nerves and my emotions just want to look away in that particular case. And I don't know. I guess it's turned into a little bit of a superstition. I like seeing Coach Clay. It's very obvious what he does. He goes like this to me, boom, right? Every time he hits, it's the same motion every time. And I don't have a good answer there, except that I get a little bit anxious and nervous in that situation, and I don't know. It's probably a little bit of superstition, but it's just me not wanting to watch the play. But I got a ton of faith in Jake. And I said that to Jake. I go, I know it doesn't. I don't watch the field goals, and I know it doesn't feel like I got a ton of confidence in you if I'm not watching. But I got so much confidence in you in those particular cases.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Rob.
Nick, another game management question. Right before the half, after Devontae's catch, why didn't you call a timeout there?
Yeah, so you're looking at, if you call a timeout, then you got the ball with 38 seconds, no timeouts, 37 seconds with no timeouts, and I believe the 26, or you take the timeout, you don't take the timeout, and you get a play run, and we ended up snapping that ball at 20 seconds. They obviously reviewed it and everything like that. And you go from there. So it's just a matter if you want a timeout or not in those particular cases. When you have the timeout, we try to hold that timeout as long as we possibly can, Jeff. And everything's a factor, everything's in play. We have a chart of very specific of when we're calling timeouts on certain amount of gains, on short, when we're clocking in those scenarios. I followed our chart and what it said there in that particular case. If I had to do it over again, I'd do the same thing, because those aren't time. That's not a time to have knee-jerk reactions. You have to make these decisions very quickly. And so, that's why we study everything that we do in every scenario, right? Even to a point of every detail of how you call a timeout or clock a ball, is thought off in very detail. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't change ever, right? So you're going to see some plays throughout the year. Every week on Thursday, I watch every clock play. And not only for the NFL, but also the Power 5 conferences, which happen a little bit different, but at least you can put yourself in that scenario over and over and over and over again. So, and that's how you perfect your process. But you're always trying to grow. You can't perfect your process unless you know exactly what your process is. So that's why we try, and that's just one example of what we do with situational football. And so there was a lot of, trials, of getting to where we were in that one. And our chart in that one, and the chart that is nobody else made but me, I made that chart, said that to, get on the ball and go for it and save the timeout. And, that's why I did what I did. But I will always, that's always being worked on. That's always being critiqued. That's always being, trying to make it as good as we possibly can. And I will definitely, I looked at it today and with some depth, and right now I say I would do the same thing. But we're going to continue to work through it, and we'll see how that continues to go.
Go ahead, Rob, and then Bo.
Hey, Nick, want to ask you about the Rams array of wide receivers, which is likely to improve with Cooper Kupp returning. At least it looks that way. What have you seen from what you've seen in terms of the slot, James Bradbury in the last 2 games, and what you're seeing right now from your secondary with young Josh Jobe and the spot he's been in?
Yeah, good question, Rob. First of all, this Rams team, with their receivers, I can't say enough about Sean McVay and how he's always been able to have production out of his receiver group. I know he played some receiver in college, and that's an addicting position, right? When you love that position, you just want to coach it, and and you can really see his influence there. Obviously, they got really good players there. But you can really see his influence there. I think he's an outstanding offensive mind. I think he's an outstanding receiver coach, and it shows. We have options. I thought James did a nice job yesterday. Playing. This is a place that he hasn't played very often, right? In the NFL. He's been an outside corner for his entire career. And so I thought he did a nice job. I think we have some options if we want to be able to move him around and move him outside and move him back inside, right? And so I did like the way he played. I think Josh Jobe is just continuing to grow. He's going to want some plays back that he had yesterday. But, we know that we obviously are looking hard at the game, but we also know how much confidence we have in him based off of the reps that he's gotten against AJ and Devontae and Quez out there on a daily basis in practice. And so, we got some things to clean up from our game yesterday. But I know Josh is continuing to grow, and I know, with James in there in the slot, there's going to be, he's getting more and more reps and getting more and more comfortable. And so we'll just have to see how that plays out with, see where Sidney is when if he's back this week. Again, a lot of things to play out before we make any decisions of what's going on this week.
Go ahead, Bo, and then Dave.
Hey, Nick. It feels like one thing that we've seen more this year than past years is Jaylen giving himself up in the open field as a runner. What's the explanation for that? Why is that?
Yeah, he needs to protect himself. He took the big hit against New England, and it's always been our intention to make sure that he's protecting himself as a runner, and we encourage him to slide, and we encourage him to get down, and we encourage him not to take a big hit. Step out of bounds when you can. We don't, do we want all our guys stepping out of bounds? No, we want our other guys, most of the times, and if it's not a 2-minute drill, is to keep the ball in their outside arm and use their stiff arm, play a little bit of pound on the sideline. I don't want Jaylen doing that. Do I want Jaylen taking he's got a great ability to make you miss, but if he has he knows when he's going to make the guy miss and not, and I think he's got a great feel of, okay, I'm not making him miss. All right, I'm going to go down in this particular case. This is exactly what we want him to do, to protect himself, as a scrambler, as a runner, while also trying to get, the most yards that are coming from that play. Every run play that we have in for him, or any read play, is done with the utmost, thinking about him all the time to make sure we keep him safe. And so, if we're thinking about that constantly, we want him thinking about that as well, because we know how important it is to have him out in the field every game.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take these last two questions from Dave and Chris.
Hey, Nick, on the offensive offsides on Landon there, is that your understanding that that's a point of emphasis from the league on those plays? And in general, what's the process like in the days after a game getting clarity on some calls like that?
Yeah, good question, Dave. We're always thinking, anything that is I don't want to say anything that we have to need clarification on, we'll turn into the NFL and ask for that clarification. And man, they do a really good job of getting back to us and letting us know what their thought process is on why something was called or why something wasn't called. Why that's so important is because now we can coach off of, what the expectations are of the NFL and the officiating crew. We can coach off those things. And so just like that, we'll turn that in and see what they have to say, and we'll get better on our end from it. And so, yeah, all those, and that's what our job is to make sure we were over, we were penalized a little bit more than normal yesterday. And so anything we have a question on, we're gonna ask, and in the attempts of, it's not about the call, it's to get knowledge for us so we can coach it the best way we can coach it and play within the rules of the play and of the league. And so, like I said, NFL does a great job of getting back to us and letting us know the thoughts so we can have coaching points to go for it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Nick. In light of
Hey, Chris.
Cam, what's the process like trying to balance the stuff that you guys been successful with along the offensive line and comparing that compared to the potential disruption that Aaron Donald can use when he
always got to be alert for the best player on the field, and you just always have to be alert for him. And sometimes that's a D tackle, sometimes that's a D end, sometimes that's a linebacker, sometimes that's a corner or safety, right? Aaron Donald's multiple, right? Obviously I'm early in my studies here, but shoot, I mean, you don't have to have the tape on very long to know where 99 is and how disruptive he is. Right, I really didn't even need to put the tape on. I've seen enough plays of how many plays this guy has made, and so yes, he's got to be accounted for at all times. That doesn't mean you do something crazy and completely do a bunch of different things that you haven't done before. But it is, knowing where he is on every snap is going to be critical because we know how much of a force he is. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And we know that and we understand that, and we got good guys on our side too, but we're going to always know where he is, and our job is to just have him accounted for at all times.